he wanted to do the right thing and go to the right place. He knew he was getting deported, but he didn't know where he was going or how he was going to get there.
I am now convinced that Hadush Kebatu genuinely has no idea that there is a manhunt underway to try and find him. He is not some kind of professional escape artist hiding from the police, yet the police, after 24 hours, still cannot find this man. They are so desperate that they have now put out a plea begging him to just hand himself in.
You had already indicated a desire to return to Ethiopia when speaking to immigration staff. The best outcome for you is to make contact directly with us by either calling 999 or reporting yourself to a police station.
This guy wants to be deported, but he couldn't figure out how to be deported when he was let out of the prison with no travel in place, properly escorted to get to the immigration detention centre, is the idea that we are getting. And you're going to see what I mean when you look at this interview that Sky News did. But first of all, before we get to that, make sure you hit the subscribe button down below if you haven't already so you don't miss out on any more updates.
He was released. He walked out of the airlock. He then kept returning back to the airlock and basically saying to the officers there, where am I going? What am I doing? I don't know where I'm going, what I'm doing.
Unbelievable.
He was holding a pack of paperwork in his arm, literally like that, holding his bag of bits. You could see inside it was a clear bag, had brown bits where it said evidence and stuff like that on it.
So he didn't know what was happening?
No, he knew he'd been deported, so he'd come over to me and said, I need you to help me, I need you to help me. His English was pretty good, to be honest with you. But basically asking me to help, and I said, I'm sorry, what can I do? You know, I don't know where to go, I don't know where to go. And I said, I don't know. I said, I'm just making a delivery here. And he said, I've been deported, I've been deported. So he kept going back and forth, back and forth. Anyway, he walked into the reception of the actual prison and was saying to the officers there as well, you know, where do I go, what do I do? And he was presenting the paperwork he had, and they were saying that you've got to go to a set place. They basically were almost sending him away. It's like, go. You've been released, you go.
This is mind-boggling levels of incompetence. This man has not been accidentally let out of prison and then thought, woohoo, I know I'm supposed to be deported, but I'm going to disappear out into society so I can't be sent away. I'm going to hide from the police. No, he's hanging around for an hour and a half at the prison, begging delivery drivers and prison staff for directions as to where to go. I presume that this man doesn't have a phone, and hence why there is a good chance that he hasn't seen the news and doesn't even realise that there's currently a manhunt underway to try and find him. And nobody's telling him where to go. You know, I know that this guy is a paedophile, but in this moment I actually feel a little bit sorry for him because he's there begging, asking, I want to do the right thing and go to the right place, but no one's helping him. Can you believe it?
So he come back out, goes back in, and it was about maybe fourth or fifth time. He goes back in, and one of the officers, she's obviously a search lady or something, started to help him and said, all right, let's get your paperwork out. And they were going through all of his paperwork and saying, there's nothing on there. There's no address. Where's he going? And they were giving us his address and saying, basically, he's got to get onto a train to get to this destination. So there was nobody there to pick him up or anything like that. They didn't even write down an official address of saying this is where you're going and this is what you've got to do. It was like, this is where you've got to go. So the commotion was back and forth, back and forth. I come out again to get my lorry and he's still there. So it wasn't a case of he's released and he's disappeared and ran off. He was standing around the prison trying to work out where he needed to go for maybe an hour and a half, maybe a little bit longer, before I overheard one of the officers saying, right, this is how you get to the station. You know, you go down here, la-di-da.
So somebody at the prison directed him to the station?
Yes, yeah. And they told him he had to get on a train. Whether I say there was a communication and, you know, where he's gone now, we don't know. But somebody directed him to the train station and said he had to get on a train to go to this place. And I overheard that conversation because I say it was out in the open at the front of the prison.
How did he seem to you when you were talking to him?
He was very confused, very, very confused. He kept scratching his head and saying, oh, where do I go? Where do I go? And I said, I don't know. I said, I'm just here to do a delivery. I don't know. As I say, when he went in maybe fourth or fifth time, and we was in the reception area, he then started to almost get upset. You could see he was getting very, very stressed. And, you know, by all means, I'm not sticking up for the guy at all, but I'm just saying he was getting very stressed because in my eyes, what I see is he wanted to do the right thing and go to the right place. He knew he was getting deported, but he didn't know where he was going or how he was going to get there.
So this guy, it sounds like he wants to be deported. He's told the authorities in the past he wants to go back to Ethiopia, and he simply just doesn't know how to get there. And remember, we saw him wandering about in Chelmsford, right, yesterday. When we saw this is one of the first things we saw when we found out he was missing. And I have to say, when I saw that video, I thought, this doesn't look like a guy who believes that he's on the run and that the police are searching for him and he's in trouble. He's just chilling. He's asking people, how do I get to the station? He's confused, he's scratching his head, right? He's just wandering about. Okay, so I am convinced he genuinely does not know that people are searching for him. Now, the Met Police, they have issued an update with some more details about his whereabouts. Let's take a listen.
Mr. Kebatu made his way to Chelmsford train station following his release from prison and boarded a train which departed at 12:42, arriving in Stratford station at 12 minutes past 1 in the afternoon yesterday. Mr. Kebatu was released wearing a prison-issued grey tracksuit and holding a clear plastic bag containing his possessions. He has since made a number of train journeys across the London area. We believe he has access to funds, and critically, in both Chelmsford and London, we believe he has sought assistance from members of the public and has spoken to station staff. If you have had any direct contact with him or are currently providing him with assistance, we are very keen to hear from you. You might have information to help us establish his whereabouts. Later today, we will also be releasing new footage of Mr. Kebatu in London. If you've seen the person in this footage or know of his whereabouts in the past 24 hours, please call 101 and tell us. I'm also making a direct appeal to Mr. Kebatu himself. We want to locate you in a safe and controlled way. You had already indicated a desire to return to Ethiopia when speaking to immigration staff. The best outcome for you is to make contact directly with us by either calling 999 or reporting yourself to a police station. We would ask any member of the public who sees Mr. Kebatu to call 999 immediately.
Okay, so this guy, Hadush Kebatu, who sexually assaulted a 14-year-old girl in Epping, he's sent to prison, he's remanded in custody, he then has his sentencing and is told, you've got a 12-month sentence. Now he only has to be there for a short while before he is eligible for early deportation. Now, they told us that he was accidentally released, right? I don't think there was any accident, because if they had accidentally released him, I think there would have been a big panic shortly after they let him out the building. But no, he was there for 90 minutes, going back and forth, asking them, hello, can I have help, etc., right? And he was saying to that lorry driver, I've been deported, right? So clearly he was told, you are going for deportation, you're going to the immigration centre, but you need to make your own way there. I thought before, when this story first came out, that if you are being deported from prison, that you are taken by the police from the prison to the immigration centre. But my understanding now is that that is not the case. Sometimes they do that. Sometimes they'll organise a taxi for you, but sometimes they just say, take the bus, take the train, to make your own way. And that is clearly what they've done in Kebatu's case. But they haven't, presumably he's got no smartphone, no Google Maps. And this guy, as the Met Police officer said there, he's not exactly been hiding hiding from anybody, right? He's been going around talking to station staff, talking to members of the public. We've seen him on Chelmsford High Street, begging people for directions. How on earth do I get to this place to be deported so I can go back to Ethiopia? This is crazy. Also, they said he got off the train at Stratford. He didn't stay on the train all the way in to central London. So I'm wondering, because he said they believe he's got access to funds. Now, we know he would have been given 76 quid when he was released from prison as pocket money. That would have been enough to cover the train fare to get into London and go on some tubes, absolutely. But if he actually has somehow got access to funds in the way of some sort of a card, I don't know how on earth he would have got that. Maybe he got off at Stratford because right there is the big Westfield shopping centre, and he thought, maybe I'm going to have a nice freedom shopping spree, get myself some fresh new clothes before I take myself down to the immigration centre that I don't know how to get to. I mean, you just cannot make this up. And what is crazy is the man isn't even hiding, and they still cannot find him. This is sheer incompetence from both the prison service and the police, right? Remember, guys, he was let out early in the morning yesterday. It wasn't until 12:57 p.m. that the police were told this guy has been accidentally released. And I think that's not because it was a mistake, it wasn't an accident. They suddenly realised that it was controversial and he wasn't able to make his way to the immigration centre. Honestly, I am just absolutely baffled. We've been told by the Met Police there that we're going to get some footage of him in London coming out later today. We'll look forward to seeing that. But this is just, it's crazy. It's absolutely crazy. It's partly funny. I don't know whether to laugh or cry. Probably both. It is pretty depressing that this country has got to the state where we can't control our borders or our prisons. But it's just funny, the level of incompetence. It's unbelievable. What kind of manhunt do you call this? Over 24 hours and you can't find a man who's just waltzing about, going shopping and talking to people. Unbelievable. That is the latest in this manhunt. I'm Chloe Dobbs. Thank you very much for watching. I'll see you guys next time. Hit subscribe if you haven't already.